Okay, so I chose Chapter 11, Managing Interpersonal Conflicts, because this is something that you deal with a lot with roommates in college, so like I've noticed. But from the book Looking In and Looking Out, they found a thesaurus saying conflicts are synonyms or terms of battle, brawl, clash, competition, discord due to fight, strife, struggles, troubles, violences, just disturbances. Even the metaphors we use today describe our conflicts. It shows we view conflicts as something to be avoided. We often talk about conflicts as a kind of war, like battle, like Spitfire, or like shooting comments and defending yourself. So it's kind of like a war, like you're being shot at with brutal comments. The attitude you bring to your conflicts can make a tremendous difference. Between successes and failures when in a conflict, like just like your attitude you bring to it. So if you're like had a bad day and you're ornery and you just come into like a conflict and somebody says something rude to you and you just rip them a new one, like that's not a way to handle. But if you're more level-headed and like willing to be open or talk about stuff or whatever, you usually just the conflict goes away or you're able to compromise easier. It just makes it easier for everybody. College students did a study that revealed when in a close romantic relationship that you believe that conflicts are like destructive. They're most likely to neglect their relationship or just quit it, just break up, call it quits, be done, just because of negative attitudes or just not compromising. And they're likely to just seek a way out of the solution, so they most likely just quit it. Conflict is an expressed struggle between two independent parties. I have a good example of this because we have one roommate that moved out because she just didn't handle conflict well. She would butt heads with all of us, like we wouldn't do anything wrong, but she would never clean and just make things hard. And so we would clean up after her or whatever, like we just didn't care, didn't say anything, but then she would yell at us for not cleaning, and yet she would never clean or never take out the trash. And we're like, hey, you don't do anything, why are you yelling at us? Because we just clean up after you anyway. And so she got mad and moved out. And so we tried to compromise and tried to like make chore charts or tried to just work it out, but she didn't seem to care to work it out. Ian Cottrell has a quote that says, "We struggled together knowing we pretended, fought, bitterly laughed, wept, nagged, supported, gave, took, and demanded. And will I ever find someone to battle with as well as we battle, love as we loved, share as we shared, challenges as we challenged, forgive as we forgave?" And what I think this means by this quote or whatever is like, can we find someone, or are we willing to battle with someone as we battle, talk as we've talked, like loved as we love, like good and bad things, like you take and receive on both ends. Like it's not just a one-way street or both of you just lead like a situation, because that's never good and it never solves anything. And so that's what I think he meant by that quote, and I really like that quote. One of my visual aids I did is I drew the conflict style chart. Sorry if it's backwards, but so it shows four corners and then compromising is in the middle. It's concern for self, so these ones are more just self-centered, and high up here, high conflict, and this is low conflict down here because they're avoiding and accommodating, most likely. And this is concern for others. But so the first corner is competing. It's a win or lose. It's like my way or the highway is the most common expression. So it's like when you won't be open for compromise with the issue that you have between you and your partner or whoever, friends, family, you're not willing to compromise. You don't give up your half. And collaborating is a win-win, so it's working together to figure out a solution, what's going to work best, which you're both giving up something, but you're not necessarily giving up your whole point. Like you made your point, but you're compromising to make the other one happy, and they're compromising to make you happy, and so that's collaborating. Avoiding is a lose-lose because you both are just mad, not willing to open up, not willing to commit or change anything. You both just flee the situation and it never gets compromised, so then it probably builds up and never gets taken care of. And so that's a really bad way to do that. Accommodating is a lose-win. It's just kind of someone giving up their point of view. They don't really care as much as the other person, so it's like, I'll do this to make you happy. It's okay, like, I see your point. Like, it's no get mad over it, I'll get over it, and like, I'll do this for you because it's what you wanted, blah, 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 sort of thing. Compromising is the middle. It's partial. It's pretty much a lose-lose. It's a halfway. They're meeting halfway. So you're both giving up something, but you're both contributing to the other person's point, or is how as I see it. So, like, an example, if girl wanted a dog or something, and the guy didn't want it, he's like, okay, we can have it on these conditions or whatever, and she's like, okay, I'll be the one that takes care of it. It's kind of halfway, or he has to stay outside. Like, they both still get what they want, but there's boundaries set, if that makes sense. And so that's my lovely chart. Okay, my next visual aid is, I don't know if you've seen this movie, The Other Woman. It's about how she gets cheated on. Her husband has like different mistresses, I guess, kind of, but they don't really know it. And so then they get together, and at first it's kind of a struggle to communicate because it's kind of weird or whatever, but then the wife and the first girl that he was going out with end up becoming best friends, and they kind of learn how to they compromise or whatever to figure out what the husband's doing or how to figure out what he's plotting, and they find out he has another girl, and so then they collaborate with her and get like all the situations worked out, whatever, and they end up working past all the conflict of that it's not them, it's the husband that they have the conflict with. And so they work together to kind of get back at the husband, but then they're all like on good terms. They were able to communicate and get everything sorted out, so they're like ended up being best friends, which is, I think, is pretty cool. And so if you haven't seen that movie, it's really funny. And that's it for my conflict styles.